This is one of those really interesting organs, reed organs, that you do not see very often, because they're not commonly encountered. I guess that's redundant to say it that way, but you know, if you've been around reed organs for a while, you'll recognize that when you see an odd looking cabinet like this, that there's only one maker who did stuff like this, and that is George Woods of Boston. And I'll close the fall board, and you can see how that is. It's all studded with these funny little peaked little turnings, and it's got the bar style music rest that keeps the music just away from the sound grills. Look at this thing. The keyboard is C scale, and it's 6 octaves. This is a now, for instance, a regular C scale organ keyboard would start at this note and then just go up 5 octaves. So this adds an additional 12 lower notes. Now a parlor organ that's F scale starts at this note, and then the parlor organ typically then ends up at this F. So that's a 5 octave parlor organ. So this has some bass notes lower than, the 8-foot stop. This is the 8-foot C of the 8-foot stop. So the 8-foot diapason rank in this extends all the way down to a 16-foot C. Correspondingly, the 4-foot stop that commences here on a normal organ keyboard, or let's say here, but it runs down to the 8-foot pitch, and then it has a sub bass. It has a sub bass that goes from here up to there. So this is slightly playable, and so it has really interesting possibilities for the kind of music that you could be able to perform on this. And very nicely, and happily, the keyboard division is at B and middle C, so that means you have 3 octaves in the bass and you have 3 octaves in the treble, so it's a nice even split. Has 2.5 sets plus sub bass. And let me talk about the reeds. The reeds are the Monroe patented in 1868 style of dovetailed reed. So it's a rivetless style of reed. And so the reed is essentially crimped into and stamped into a dovetailed way that's brought up out of the frame. And so there's no reed to work loose. And I can tell you, I've already cleaned the reeds in this. That was one of the first things I did. I just dry cleaned, brushed off, and got them all to sound, all the reeds in this. And so there's 2 73 note sets, and there's a 37 note set, and a 16-foot sub bass. So it's got a lot of reeds. The reeds are just exquisitely made. I've never seen nicer parlor organ reeds. They are voiced the only set that doesn't have voicing to the top note is just the top 7 notes of the 4-foot. They're left straight. It has just the most microscopic voicing curve put on every single reed, and all the reeds have the same voicing curve. They're the same reed. They're the same scale. They're just, of course, different pitches, 4-foot and 8-foot. But so they have the same voicing curve. So the way they get the different sound is, of course, by making the one set 4 and the other set 8. And on the solo, the fancy solo sound, the way they got a really different sound out of it was by putting the now this is pretty dark in here. I sort of apologize. Here's the black hole. And I don't even know if that's focusing, but there's a solo chest in there. And the solo chest, I've got my hand back in here so you can see that now. You hear that thrumming. That's me just drumming my fingers on the bellows cloth membrane that makes up the wind chest side of that solo chest. So the sound from those reeds you get to hear the sound from both sides of the valve. You get to hear the sound that's coming out the reed cell from behind the mute, and you also get to hear the sound that's inside the wind chest coming out through that membrane of bellows cloth. And it's a very good contrast to me. Here's the, here, this is an unrestored organ, but there's the melodious sound. So when I put on the solo voice, there's the concert flute, and let me just open this, get the sound out. So I'll do that again. Melodia, and this is with the swells closed. Now, again, this is just clean. These haven't been tuned. That is just smack dab on. Very pleasant sound. So concert flute, the solo sound, it's a much more acute and, a keen sound. Same voicing, same reed cell size, and it's just because they were so clever to rig up that solo chest with a cloth back, a bellows, airtight cloth, but that lets the sound out, and it gives such a nice bright sound. So here's the, where are we at? Whoops. Here's the flute and melodia. And you add the concert flute, and you add the Celeste form. Let me just pull Celeste by itself. That is really nice. And it has a solo forte. So you can open the swell shade over the concert flute reeds by itself. Has a strange little octave coupler. Now where does this thing work from? Oh, the octave coupler works from the F, tenor F below middle C, and upward only. So you have an octave coupler that works over the top 1.5 octaves, or the, what am I talking about? The top 3.5 octaves, or say 2.5 octaves, because there's nothing that would mean anything to couple to. And there's no coupler that works down toward the bass side. So it's very pungent sub bass. And that's equivalent to a Mason and Hamlin foghorn, very much so. Has the Dolcan stop, which is the special top mute soft stop on the 4, I guess. Yeah, on the 4. So there's the soft, and then there's the full, and then both together are a different sound that's even louder. And then it has the diapason. Poor thing has no the pumpers are great, but it has no reservoir. And I have one mute. Nope. Those reeds don't want to speak today. All right, and let's see what else. Oh, of course, this has a clapper tremulant, and it's very bad. It's very bad. Yeah, it doesn't get any worse than that. That's pretty bad. The plans I have for this is a project, obviously. It can be completely restored because everything's here, except for some first aid tape holding some, repairing some of the hinges on things. Like that's the solo swell has been rehinged with first aid tape. Everything can be restored on this, and there's a lot of room in this case between the solo chest and then all the way up here to the roof of it, which is up there. So there's a foot of room. My plan is to do a reversible mod on this, which is to disable the tremulant and use that stop to hook up a large ST/orchestral style Vox Humana that has the 30-inch long blades, and mount that in here. And also, the other thing that I believe can happen on this, not completely sure, it'll be pain, not a lot of work. I think it'll be some work, but I think it's doable. Is to add. I have a spare Mason and Hamlin Liszt organ Aeolian harp chest, and I believe now that runs from C, the 8-foot C on the keyboard to the B below middle C. So it's a 24 note. It's a 24 note Aeolian, and I believe I can maybe not. I was going to try to make it work to add that Aeolian chest to this. It might require. It'll probably require like really modifying the Aeolian chest. I hope if it would take too many modifications to the organ, then I wouldn't do it. Other than drilling the one hole for the wind to get up into it, and adding the little backfalls to the keyboard. But the case is, it's very interesting. Everything is. There's a bit of plain walnut on this, but everything, like for instance this whole cheek panel, that's all burl veneer. These little stripes all over it, they're all done in burl. The columns, these little colonnettes, whatever you want to call them, they're wrapped in burl veneer, and they go everywhere. The main column under the truss, that's wrapped in burl, and these odd-shaped, propeller-shaped kind of panels on the side, they're raised appliques. They're done in burl veneer. This raised, that's a dish kind of, a convex dish-shaped, lens-shaped thing. That's burl veneered. Down at the front, there's more of those columns and other shapes. I don't know what to call them. They're sort of shapes that are burl veneered. So this thing was quite a tour de force of whatever you would want to think what he was thinking of, but whatever he was trying to do, he really did it very neatly. So the wood's really nice. It's missing what was left of. There's nothing left of what the high top was that it had. It had some kind of high top. I've seen a 5-octave version of what I believe is the high top online. And it's no great loss. I think that other than fixing this missing veneer, putting these kinds of things back, bad camera work. Putting these little things back on, they broke off in shipment, and then capping this off with just some kind of finishing off piece of walnut with a nice routed edge design on it, like maybe that little beaded edge, something like that. That would finish it off, or a nice little ogee like the movable lid has, and then that will finish that off cabinet wise. And so anyway, that's another piece of inventory, another potential project. And if anybody's interested, get in touch. MasonandHamlinOrgans.com. Thank you.